Wow. Not only am I going to show you how to turn this 99p carton, 1 litre of apple juice, into wine strength alcohol with bread yeast and sugar, which cost pennies. We're going to go into the science about it. We'll be going into things like the preservatives, why oxygen has a massive role in the beginning. We're going to look at the yeast life cycle, how the hydrometer works, and much more. I'm going to put this juice into this bottle just so we can visualize what's going on. It's important that the juice you use has no preservatives. Now, these names of the preservatives will end in ites and ates. I'm just going to cover a couple of the most popular ones they use in the food and drink industry. The first one is sodium benzoate. This is usually used in low pH drinks. It converts to something called benzoic acid. This acid can cross the cell membranes. Once inside the cell, which has a higher pH, it releases its hydrogen ions. This acidifies inside the cell, disrupting cell function. This one is potassium sorbate. Sorbate is more growth inhibitory than lethal to the cell. It disrupts enzymes involved in metabolism and reproduction. It interferes with membrane function and nutrient uptake. Then we have the sulfites. This damages proteins and enzymes. It disrupts cellular respiration. So each have their distinct way of disrupting the cell and stopping it take over the juice inside because it cannot reproduce or it's been killed. First of all, we need to take out 150 ml. Taking this juice out will leave room for fermentation at the top, the bubbles. Now, for my purposes, I'm putting this in here. If you're following along at home, you will not need to do that. Then we just add half a cup of table sugar. So if you add more sugar, will it equal more alcohol? Not if you put too much sugar in. Osmosis is when water naturally moves across a membrane towards the side with more dissolved material. The cell is on the left side and the high sugar solution is on the right side. If the water is moving from inside the cell to outside the cell, then the net movement of water will result in too much water coming out of the yeast cell. This means that metabolism will slow. It will reduce the enzyme efficiency, it will put a lot of stress on the membrane, and the yeast cells will focus on stress response systems, making particles to help retain water inside the cell. So this means that the fermentation will slow, reproduction slows, and the lag phase becomes longer, which is the first phase in the yeast cycle. Seal the lid and give it a good old shake. We're going to kill 2 birds with 1 stone here. We're dissolving the sugar into the liquid and we're incorporating oxygen into the liquid as well. So once you've shaken the sugar so it's all dissolved and it's got a lovely bubbly oxygen getting into the liquid, let's take a look at oxygen's role. During the lag phase, yeast uses oxygen to produce important components of its cell membrane, especially sterols and unsaturated fatty acids, which keep the membrane flexible and strong. A healthy cell membrane allows the yeast to absorb nutrients properly, reproduce efficiently, and better tolerate the increase in alcohol levels that develop later in fermentation. Without enough oxygen at this stage, the membrane can become weaker, causing the yeast to become stressed and less effective during the fermentation. Now that the sugar is dissolved, we're going to take a gravity reading. Now this is going to tell us how dense the liquid is. Because we've added sugar, it will increase the density of the liquid. A hydrometer works by floating in a liquid, and how high or low it floats depends on the liquid's density. When sugar dissolves in water, the liquid becomes heavier for the same amount of space, so it pushes up harder on the hydrometer and makes it float higher. You can think of it as there being more mass packed into the liquid, so the liquid can support the hydrometer more easily. During fermentation, yeast turns sugar into alcohol and carbon dioxide, and because alcohol is less dense than sugary water and the CO2 escapes, the liquid becomes lighter and the hydrometer sinks lower. This is the first reading I'm taking now. A final reading will be taken after fermentation is complete, and we apply a calculation to work out how much alcohol we have made, which I'll explain later. All we need to do is add 1/4 teaspoon of just baker's yeast, pennies. Overpitching yeast might seem like a good way to speed up fermentation, but too much yeast can actually create problems for the cells and the final brew. When an excessive number of yeast cells are added, they quickly compete for the limited oxygen, nutrients, and minerals available in the liquid. This overcrowding can stress the yeast, reducing their ability to reproduce properly and weakening their long-term health. Instead of a balanced fermentation with steady growth, the yeast may produce unwanted byproducts, create dull or harsh flavors, and sometimes even stall before fermentation fully finishes. A healthy fermentation depends on giving yeast enough resources and space to work efficiently, not simply adding the largest amount possible. Now, shake this in, give it a good shake because it can clump up. Because this is a dried yeast, what it's going to do is it's going to rehydrate in the liquid, and then the first phase of brewing will commence. It's going to enter the lag phase. The lag phase is the first stage of fermentation, where yeast cells adapt to their new environment and prepare for growth. During this phase, the yeast absorb oxygen, take in nutrients, repair themselves, and build important cell membrane components, such as sterols and fatty acids. Although there is little visible activity and very little alcohol or CO2 produced, the yeast are becoming stronger and preparing for rapid reproduction and active fermentation. A healthy lag phase is important because it helps yeast ferment efficiently and tolerate rising alcohol levels later in the brew. I am just going to leave this cap loose. I'm not going to lock it down. I'm just going to leave it loose. If you're following on at home, just take the cap and screw it on a tiny bit so you can it's still squeezy. You can get air in and out, because when fermentation starts, it's going to release a hell load of CO2. If that's tight, it's going to blow up, literally. Now, temperature. I'm just going to put this up in my airing cupboard where it's about 25 degrees. When yeast is too cold, fermentation slows or stalls because the cells become less active and struggle to consume sugars efficiently. When yeast are too warm, fermentation speeds up too quickly, producing unwanted off flavors, excess fusel alcohols, and heat stress that can damage or kill the yeast. Healthy fermentation happens within an optimal temperature range where yeast can steadily convert sugars into alcohol and carbon dioxide without becoming stressed. Anything that touches this liquid has to be clean. Absolutely clean. Because yeast is a microorganism. So is bacteria. You want the yeast to take control. You don't want, say, a random bacteria taking control, because then it's just all a waste of time and you're not going to end up with an alcoholic drink. Sanitation is one of the most important parts of home brewing because yeast isn't the only thing that wants to grow in your brew. Tiny bacteria, wild yeast and mold spores are everywhere, on equipment, in the air and even on your hands. If they get into your brew, they can create sour, vinegary, funky or rotten flavours that ruin the batch. Good sanitization gives your brewing yeast the best chance to take control quickly and ferment cleanly, producing better flavour, aroma and alcohol consistency. Right, up he goes into the airing cupboard, and I'll see you when fermentation kicks off. Very next morning, and we are into the next stage. Cool. The high krausen phase is the most active stage of fermentation in brewing. It typically occurs a day or two after pitching the yeast, when the yeast population is rapidly multiplying and consuming sugars at full speed. During this phase, you see a thick foamy krausen layer on top of the liquid, lots of CO2 production and vigorous bubbling. It's basically the yeast at peak performance, metabolically busy generating alcohol, flavour compounds and heat before activity gradually slows as sugars get used up and alcohol levels rise. It's been 21 days since I started this. I've been checking in on it to make sure there's a healthy fermentation going. A healthy fermentation usually shows a few clear signs. Within the first day or two, you will often see bubbles and or airlock activity, a layer of foam called krausen forming on top and movement inside the demijohn as yeast becomes active. The aroma should smell fruity, yeasty, wine-like or slightly bready, not rotten, mouldy or strong vinegary. As fermentation slows, the brew should begin clearing naturally, with sediment settling at the bottom. Thin white films, fuzzy patches, strong vinegar smells or strange oily textures are signs something may be wrong. I've taken a gravity reading every 2 days. The last 2 readings I've taken, they've been the same. So that means the fermentation of sugars into alcohol has stopped. The graph shows a rapid initial decline in gravity followed by a progressively slower rate of attenuation, which is the consumption of sugars. After a short lag phase, the yeast entered high krausen, dropping approximately 60 gravity points within the first week. This represents the period of peak metabolic activity where sugar consumption and alcohol production were greatest. Following day 7, the slope of the curve begins to flatten as the yeast enters the flocculation phase. With fewer fermentable sugars remaining and rising alcohol concentrations creating a more stressful environment, fermentation slows considerably. By day 19, the gravity had stabilized at 0.998. indicating that the yeast had consumed virtually all available fermentable sugars and began settling out of suspension. The cleanup phase is the final stage of fermentation, where yeast activity slows down as sugar levels become low and alcohol levels rise. During this phase, the yeast stop rapid growth and begin cleaning up unwanted byproducts, such as diacetyl and sulfur compounds, improving the flavour and quality of the brew. The cells also repair stress damage, conserve energy and begin flocculating, clumping together and settling to the bottom. Although fermentation appears calmer, this stage is important for producing a cleaner, smoother final drink. Let's take a more detailed look at flocculation. Flocculation is the process where yeast cells begin sticking together near the end of fermentation and form clumps called flocks. This happens because the yeast produce sticky surface proteins that act like tiny pieces of Velcro, allowing cells to attach to one another. As the clump grows larger and heavier, they settle to the bottom of the fermenter. Flocculation helps clear the brew and signals that the yeast are moving from active fermentation into a resting and survival stage. The calculation, original gravity minus the final gravity, times 131.25, this is coming out at 11.5% in 21 days. Cheers everybody. Just going to pour it carefully. So, it's really apple smell. That's lovely. Now I'm expecting this to be dry. And by dry, we mean all the sugar has disappeared and turned into alcohol. So it's going to leave a very dry sensation. It's like a shot of vodka in apple juice. Right, the apple juice is really tasty. The apple flavour. You get that warmth. Now, I'm going to add just under a teaspoon of sugar, not a lot, because this is what we call back sweetening. When you back sweeten something that's very dry, it should pull out the fruit flavours even more. I like to drink these style of drinks room temperature. Now, if you'd rather a chilled one, go for it. We're all different. So let's see if this sugar has done anything. Wow. Wow. Apple. There's body to it. It's not like thin like water. Well, what can I say? It's a delicious drink. There we have it. Guys, if you like this style of video, please let me know. And if you haven't seen it, check out this video where I make alcohol without spending a penny. Thanks guys, I'll see you on the next one.